Hello, my wonderful students. This is Mrs. Darmody speaking, and today I will be introducing you to a brand new project that you'll be creating on the Scratch website. It is called the About Me project, and as the name implies, this will be all about you. What you will be doing is selecting pictures that represent things about you that are not overly personal that you can share publicly on the Scratch website. And you want to refer to the project rubric for the specifics of how many facts you need to include, coding blocks you need to use from different categories of coding blocks, etc. So things that you will definitely not be sharing in your About Me project because they would be overly personal. You will not be sharing your first name because your last name is already part of your Scratch user ID. You will not be sharing your date of birth, your street address, the school you go to, or anything else that's overly personal, including not sharing any actual pictures of human family members, including yourself. So let's begin. As you can see, this is my example project, and I will be walking you through all of the different aspects of this. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to play the project. Well, actually, let's look inside first. So we'll go inside. And what you'll notice is that I actually have several sprites. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, you are not required to have 8 sprites. You will need to have at least 6 facts about yourself with images that represent those facts. If you want to go up into the A category, then you need to have more than 6 facts about yourself. If you have less than 6 facts, then of course you would lose points for that category. So the category is facts about you and images that relate to those facts that you make sprites in your project. Okay. The second category that you will be graded on is using coding blocks from the looks category. And as you may recall from previous instruction, the looks category has many different types of blocks available, including speech bubbles, thought bubbles, costume changes, background changes, changing the size by a specific number, setting the size to a certain percentage of the original size of the image, using special effects, color effect, fisheye effect, whirl, pixelate, mosaic, brightness, and ghost, which is like fading out. And when you use those special effects, you can make them take effect by a certain number of pixels. You can set the color effect to a certain thing or set the special effect to a certain thing. Clear the graphic effects, which is a really important tool to use to make the appearance of your sprite go back to normal. So that's a good block to use at the end of the script of special effects. Showing, of course, makes the sprite show on the screen. Hiding makes it hide. So you always want to use those together. Otherwise, Scratch would not know when you want the sprite to show and then when you'd want it to hide. Now, in the interest of using your collage effectively, you can see I have layers of pictures here. So it is good to use the go to the front or go to the back layer. Or you can have your picture or sprite or object come forward so many layers or go backward so many layers. And you can play around with the number of layers depending on how many pictures you have. So those are things from the looks category. And you do need to have costume changes. That is a requirement. You have to at least have a minimum of 1 costume change to be in the B category, along with a variety of other looks category blocks. To be in the A category, you need to have at least 2 or more costume changes, along with using a variety of looks categories to change the appearance of your sprites. Okay. Backdrops, you need to have at least 1. You'll notice I have 2. You can see the little 2, but if you didn't know, you click on the stage, and then you would go to your backdrops tab, and you can see I have Beach Malibu, which happens to be from the Scratch library, and then I've got a wave, a backdrop that I got from somewhere else. And audio sounds, you need to have some audio sounds. And some sprites, as you recall, have built-in audio sounds attached to them. But even if they don't, you can attach a sound to a sprite either by getting a sound from the sound library, or you can upload a sound as I did here that you get from another website. And of course, you have to cite where that came from. We'll talk about that later. So that's about sounds. And to be in the B category, you must have at least two audio files that are well synchronized in your project. To bring it up into the A category, you need to have 2 or more audio files, and one must be from another website outside of Scratch. So that will be something that's in a separate video to show you how to do that. So you must have audio sounds in your project. In addition, your sprites must be animated, not just using looks category, but also using motion and control. So if you look at some of my sprites, as you recall, motion and control is the blue category, and you can make things move steps, which are little pixel steps, make things spin around, left or right, which you would want to do repeatedly, otherwise it only goes so far. You can make your sprites go to a random position, go to specific X and Y coordinates, and as you probably recall from previous instruction, you always want to make sure you place your sprites by dragging them to the spot you want them to go to, and then put in the XY coordinates. So that way you know, Scratch knows exactly where you want it to be. So you'll be using motion and control to make your sprites move using control blocks so it's well coordinated and it moves smoothly, and it seems to make sense the way you're doing it, not just any old thing. So if you have at least 4 out of 6 of your sprites animated, so about 3/4 of your sprites animated using motion and control and in a coordinated way, you would be in the B category. If you have most of your sprites animated, moving in a well-coordinated way using motion and control blocks, then that would bring you into the A category. Okay. Next, of course, you need to have a broadcast message, which in the case of me, I did put in a broadcast message. So we've got the sending message here, and I called it, I gave it a name, of course, because you want to make sure you give it a name that will help you remember what the purpose of that message is, because this is just a trigger message. It does not actually do anything other than it's like someone standing out in the middle of a football field and they're saying, okay, time to do your thing now. But that trigger message doesn't actually do anything other than be a trigger for something else you put in the code. So in this case, I have the jack-o'-lantern when it receives that message, which of course this is from events. When it receives the message, and of course you can have multiple broadcast messages, so you want to make sure you name them appropriately. I want this to wait 3 seconds, hide, wait 10 seconds, show. Okay, and I put that particular code on almost all the other sprites. Pretty much the same thing. It doesn't have to be the same code, but I did in my case because I want all the sprites to hide at the same time. The only one that does not is Wonder Woman, because of course she's going to be coming to the front, waiting 3 seconds and saying something. Okay, so let's take a look at what this looks like. So here's my collage, And actually, let me minimize that for a moment. And the instructions say, and I have numbered step-by-step instructions, click on the green flag to get started, then click on each sprite to find out more about me. Save the jack-o'-lantern for last. And the reason for that is because that's where I have placed the broadcast trigger message. Okay, here are my citations about where I found all the pictures, which is a separate video that I'll be talking about in a moment. So I have to put a description of what it is, and then I have to put the exact website address that that picture was located in. Please remember that Google is your search engine to help you find information, to help you find pictures and images, but it's not where that information is actually stored. It is not where those images or pictures are actually stored. So you have to actually go to visit the website to get the exact website address for your citation. So I've got all my citations here. So let's begin. Green flag. My favorite superhero is Wonder Woman. Click on each sprite to find out more about me. Save the jack-o'-lantern for last. And then she's going to spin around. And she went to the back and then came back to the front. Modern Family is one of my favorite shows, and that got larger, came to the front, and then went back. So I'm trying to use a variety of coding blocks. I grew up in Rhode Island. That came to the front and then went to the back. I love s'mores. That came to the front, and it's going to play a crunch sound. There it goes. Imagine Dragons is one of my favorite groups that play a guitar, came to the front. I like Ed Sheeran's music as well. And then I have the flag. I have English in my heritage and Welsh. And that spun around several times and changed costumes, went to the back. My dog's name is Zeus. I love dogs. There's my little boy. And he's barking away. And he's going to change costumes. Sometimes I think he's possessed, and I drew those eyes for a costume for him. Sometimes he just wants to leap into my lap for attention. And that got bigger and smaller again, and that was a third costume. And last but not least, the jack-o'-lantern, which has the trigger broadcast message on it. Halloween's my favorite holiday. It got bigger. It's going to spin around and play spooky music and then go back again. Now all the sprites hide. I love beach and the waves. We play the ocean sound and the waves, and Wonder Woman's in the waves. There's a backdrop switched. And then all the sprites, they hid for a few seconds and came back again. So if you look at the code on several different ones, these are all the different ones. Backwards, this is the Imagine Dragons was the original costume. And you can see that I used another picture as a costume change. For the dog, for my dog, I uploaded my own picture. I duplicated that picture, duplicated it, and then I used the circle tool to draw some crazy eyes on him. And then I uploaded a third picture and took out the background for it to use as a costume change. So you can just upload those pictures here if they're costume changes, or if you're uploading pictures here, they're going to be separate sprites. And then, of course, backgrounds you can upload here as well. And to learn more about doing that, if you go to my teacher website, gaildarmody.weebly.com, then you go to hover over digital literacy, go to image and audio resources, and what you will see here are two videos. One is about using and citing images that are not from scratch in your project, using and citing audio that is not from scratch, and you can watch those videos to learn how to do that. And then if you scroll down, you see there are left are copyright-free image websites. On the right are copyright-free audio websites. Do not use Sound Bible. It's not working right now. And this website, Remove BG, is where you can remove the background of an image for free. You upload the picture and then download it again. So that is how you can create your own